I'm seeing that it is 1:12. I'd like to call the meeting to order. Bill McGowan, Dan Coughlin, Lisa McGonigal, Wayne Sawchuk, and Paul Kearse are here. Our first order of business is the Chief Justice Cushing Highway. And Rod, do you have an update for us on that?
Well, as I had informed the commission by email yesterday, the attorneys have not reached an agreement on a final version of the connection agreement. There are a couple of loose ends, and I have raised them with Attorney DeLisi, and he's not responded.
Okay.
And
So,
I'm not prepared to recommend, approve the agreement as to form without the further changes that I have made.
all right. I'd ask the board to comment on this, but I think in the spirit of getting this through, I think if you guys come to an agreement in the next, day, 2, 3, something like that, perhaps we have a quick meeting next week, scheduled with 48 hours notice, so we can discuss and approve. Wayne and Paul, you good with that?
I am, yeah. If these are, our last public meeting, we agreed to the full agreement, and we had 4 changes that had to be agreed to. And then I guess in reviewing those 4 changes, Rod had a few additional items that he may have come to light, I guess, and kind of explained those to me. And then it was a response from Jeff, I guess, to why those were or not. So I'm not sure if this rises to the level of getting the board to discuss them and approve them or not approve them, or is this something that Jeff and Rod could?
Well, I think we were fine on my recollection is we were fine on the major points, and it was just some polishing that we asked them to finish up and, get this done.
Right.
I mean, if I could add, there was some language that needed clarification, at least even from my technical perspective.
Oh, where did that go? Hold on. Oh, I forgot shoot. I had I left my folder in the car. Sorry.
Yep. So Dan, those recommendations came after we already had gone through most of the agreement and agreed to the language, but I did read your recommendations. I didn't, from the sewer commission's perspective, I didn't see anything major other than some basic semantics about making sure that things are complied to.
Yeah, it was just points of clarification that, we had discussed at the meetings in the past, but wasn't quite in the agreement itself. And I'm not sure if Jeff felt they were substantive. It kind of sounds like he thought they were substantive. So from my perspective, they were just reinforcing what was previously discussed.
All right.
Is it possible I can jump in, Mr. Chair?
Fire away. Yeah, fire away.
Okay. So I agree with Rod. We addressed the 4 issues that we last talked about, and then some additional issues popped up. And I think that if we had a short discussion today, that we probably can resolve all of them, and probably vote to revise the agreement consistent with today's discussion, which would be a final revision. If I may, I probably can just briefly synopsize.
Rod, are you good with that?
I don't know. We had this opportunity for a week and a half, and I didn't hear any specifics in response. So,
well, I did. I provided a document just asking a few questions and pushing back on a few of Rod's issues. The first item is in the last whereas paragraph on the 3rd page, and somebody inserted language that is a not to exceed permit language of 37.68 EDUs. And that is inconsistent with what I thought that our discussion was previously. I thought that what we agreed was that we would put forth the Title V flows in an exhibit, and that there would be updates on a periodic basis as to any changes in use or Title V intended flows that would provoke an increase or a decrease, and that the increase or decrease would be then dealt with through an amendment to the total fee that was charged. So I needed to understand why that language was inserted and whether it matters.
Yeah, from my perspective, I added that language. And I refer to it as an estimated maximum daily flow because that's what Title V actually calculates, as a maximum daily flow. And I wanted that to be clear. From the perspective of you're paying a fee based upon the EDU count. And the EDU count is based upon the flow projections that you had. It's the commission that needs to approve additional flow, not that you develop additional flow and then they consider it. So I felt that a not to exceed permit for the amount that was being paid for and being allocated based upon your calculations was appropriate.
So Dan, does that mean that your concept here is we're just identifying what the flow is right now, not to exceed, but that in the future, if it were to be exceeded, that we have to approve it separately? Is that how?
Yes. And I think that was the intent of the board, is if you have changes in your uses and increases the flow, you'd come before the board again for approval and potentially for additional payment.
Yes, and that was my understanding as well. I guess I was just concerned about the language of not to exceed there, but
Jeff, can I point out that it's in the recital and not in an operative provision? So it is as background to the agreement and not as an operative.
yeah, no, I knew. Yeah.
It's
Okay.
just definition.
If we're on record on that, then that's fine.
So we're saying that we're fine with that language, not to exceed.
Yeah, because it doesn't have operative effect, right?
Okay,
So
that's fine.
we're good with that. And
Right.
then page
Yeah.
4, I'm sure that was Dan's language. I'm good with that because I think the whole concept here is that we all agree that you have to approve of these plans, and the approval includes every aspect of the plans, including whether it is a gravity or a force main. So the language that Dan inserted on page 4, which is design shall be subject to final approval of the board and its engineer, including with respect to whether the system shall be force main or gravity sewer. The design shall also include total flow sampling and water metering and recording provisions on the parcels, which shall be operated and maintained by the developer in perpetuity. I think that that's consistent with what we discussed. So we're okay with that. That brings us to, I guess I was just wondering on the retainer, the $5,000 to $10,000, I'm sorry, the $10,000 retainer. My question is, can we have a release of that obligation once we're connected? Such that any amount that's in that fund gets returned to the applicant upon approval of the sewer extension, because my understanding of that money is to review the sewer extension and the construction aspect of it all and the inspection part. Once that's done, I thought maybe, we could have that returned. If that's okay, we can just, Rod and I can incorporate that.
Yeah, I don't know how we actually term that, but upon activation of the service, and I'm assuming at that point in time, all the testing, all the inspections, all the work is complete. My only point is if there's punch list items that still need to be addressed at that point, which is typical of that type of construction, that the funds remain in place until final closeout. In
Okay.
other words, punch list items are complete and inspected.
Got it. Okay, so I think Rod and I can formulate that language.
That was 1.2 paragraph G, I believe, right?
Yeah, well, actually, it first is raised probably in 1.1C, so it's both 1.1C and 1.2G.
Okay.
And
I have one comment, and that is, should it go beyond the actual turn on, because it has to be guaranteed for a year, and I would assume that before the end of the year is up, you're going to be making inspections and seeing how everything is going. And I'm sure that during the year, there may be something 2 weeks later after that starts up, or 2 months later or something.
Yeah, good point, Wayne. Yeah. Is that
Okay,
a problem
so-
enough?
$10,000 is
that's-
not a lot of money.
that's not a problem at all. I'm just trying to tie up a loose end here. So
when-
1 year after activation.
So when we say at the end of the warranty period,
So, yeah, okay.
Yeah, Wayne, your concerns are satisfied in section 1.3, paragraph B, where the developer will maintain a separate fund held in escrow for the alternative to secure and maintain a bond out of the board equal to 25,000 for any types of repairs or issues that come up. So that's the
yeah,
bond.
you don't want to get into a position where you have to call a bond just for an inspection, though. So
Right. Okay.
Well, we're good with it though,
Okay.
Paul. So long as there's an end date, that's all I care about. So
Right.
that's fine. Moving on, because we're just about through this, really. So I'd prefer it if we could just wrap it up today here.
We have another group coming up in 10 minutes, so if we can.
Okay, that's fine. So 1.3D had to do with this rate being paid to Hull, and I had requested an understanding as to why we would be paying 115% of the.
yeah, let me
amount.
explain that to you.
But
Your
that's all
flow-
right.
Okay.
I'm okay with the 115. Okay, so I don't want to waste time on it.
Good.
The issue though is, how do we know which of our flow is being sent over to Hull versus processed in Cohasset? So what's the mechanism that notifies us of that, Dan?
Well, it's not the actual physical thing, because your flow, the way it's set up and the way it's pumped into the system, will always go to the plant. But what you're doing is displacing other flow that could have been brought to the plant that's currently in our system.
So how do
You're displacing that flow, so automatically it's at the 115 rate. It doesn't kick in at some point in time. It's whatever the whole rate is times 115. And again, that pays for the flow, that's the additional flow that's going to Hull. And it also pays for some certain operation and maintenance of the pumping station. That's where the 15% comes in.
But Dan, isn't there going to be a meter prior to it entering the sewer
Yeah,
conveyance system? And
we
that's
asked for
how
a
you're going to know,
wastewater-
right?
Yeah, I mean, we asked for a wastewater meter to confirm II and other things basically in the system. But
Good.
the water consumption records, and I'm assuming he's going to have a deduct meter for his irrigation. Water consumption records would be used for billing purposes,
Mhm.
and that's what would be billed at the Hull rate plus 115.
So how do we distinguish between the amount that we're displacing to be sent to Hull versus, say, any other person that comes in? Are you doing that across the board, Dan? Like
If there was another person coming from outside the district, they'd be subject to a similar type of provision. That would be my recommendation, at least. People inside the district, though, have the access rights to use flow within that district. And what you're doing by being outside the district is displacing that flow, basically. No longer do we have that additional capacity at the plant. So if flows come in later on, they'll have to go to Hull.
So the distinguishing factor is outside the district versus inside the district. Okay.
Correct.
My other question had to do with paragraph 2.3, and really that's my last question. And I recall at our last meeting that there was a discussion about a $700,000 cap in order to get around the prevailing wage question and not having to utilize language that it was, that the reimbursement was to reimburse and offset the fee for the extension. But and I thought that I recalled that the board had agreed to eliminate the $700,000 language and return it back to its former language. I now see a cap of 700,000, and I was inquiring as to where I thought that was a substantial change, and I thought I would request some clarification on that from the board.
My notes are that Chairman McGowan made clear that he understood that credit would be subject to a cap. And so I kept that language in with the number, that the $700,000 number that you had recommended.
Okay, so I'm just wondering from the full board, are we doing a cap or not? And if so, why?
Yeah, if I remember correctly, Bill said we'll just get rid of the cap altogether during our open meeting, and I thought that's what we had agreed to, swirling around the whole prevailing wage piece. And I remember, if I'm not mistaken, that Don Piet was on that meeting as well when we were talking about it. And Bill said we could just get rid of the whole thing, he'd be fine with it. And then it came back into the agreement. Yeah,
and so I looked at the tape again, and that was exactly what occurred, Paul. Okay. So I guess I think if we could just be consistent with eliminating the $700,000 cap here.
Yeah, I'm willing to do that if that's exactly what I said, and I would like to go back and view it because I can't remember it going, and I have all my stuff is in the car. So, but if that's what happened, then that's what happened.
Okay.
But I want to look at it first.
Okay. So those were my issues. And so the only real outstanding issue at the moment here is just you verifying that, Bill. And if that's the case, we could eliminate that, make the changes that we just discussed, or accept the changes. And we should have an agreement.
Okay. There were also some additional smaller minor revisions in there too. We had no problem with those.
Yeah, I had replied to those, Dan, and I believe that I recall those were in addition to the 4 that were voted, and I didn't think that they were substantial enough to raise, and I just accepted them.
Okay, just making sure.
So at this point, the entirety of the agreement, outside of one issue, which is the $700,000 cap, is agreed to by the board. So that would be the chairman, Bill McGowan, Wayne Sawchuk, and myself. And those are the changes that Rod had sent to you in the last correspondence, which we now agree with 3 out of the 4. So the only item left to confirm is the $700,000 cap, whether it stays or whether it goes,
right,
based on the comments made in the last meeting, right?
Right.
And we were going to just make the revision for, I think, the $10,000 retainer being returned after a year or whatever.
Correct.
A year after the warranty period expires. Okay. So those are the 2 outstanding items.
Okay.
And
$10,000 retainer returned language after
the balance of any funds in there and the obligation to replenish,
after the warranty.
Yep.
So Rod, are you, since your last correspondence that you have there with you, so you're satisfied with those things that you have?
Those 2 are business terms, and I don't have a problem with either.
Okay. All right. So basically, you can finalize the agreement with just those 2 areas highlighted for us to confirm. And I would like to make a motion to accept the changes that were discussed.
Can I just ask one point of clarification? What is the total sum now? Is it based upon the actual EDUs? There was a slight miscalculation I think I saw in there when I recalculated it. Is it 1,063,000 flat, or I'm not sure which was. the
Yeah, you know,
final number.
Paul, before you make a recommendation, and I think subject to my looking at that and verifying the $700,000 cap, I'd like to see a clean final, you know, cover the front cover with blue or something so I can pick it out of all this paper I have on my floor,
Yeah.
copy from Rod and Jeff and say, this is it. You know, subject to the 700,000, everything else is in there. We read it, we accept it, we can change the 700 grand or not, and then we're done.
Okay, so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna make the one change to the $10,000 retainer language that we just discussed. I'm gonna accept everything else except the $700,000 cap.
Mhm.
I'm gonna send that over to you today.
Okay.
And then Bill, if you could maybe make that confirmation to us by the end of this calendar week, we could then know what that language is going to say, and we'll have a final agreement for you guys to vote on at your very next meeting next week.
All right. I'll do my best. That's all I can say. So,
Well, you send that to Rod though, right?
yes.
Of course.
Okay.
You can distribute.
So are we doing a vote today to just to kind of memorialize what we discussed today, or are we avoiding a vote? I just want to make sure
We're not
that nothing else comes in.
Yeah, we're not avoiding a vote. All we're doing is waiting to confirm the 700,000, do a last read of the draft, and then we will vote on it.
Okay.
Yeah, I just wanted to make it clear though that we are all in agreement with all of the changes we discussed. The only thing left open is the 700 cap and the language for the $10,000 retainer. I don't want another week to go by where we have a couple of more edits.
No, I don't want to see anything else going. No,
Okay.
I think we're done. I mean, there can't be anything else done unless the spaceship lands out there or something. I mean, we've done everything else. So,
Excellent. Well, gentlemen, thank you very much for your time today, and I'll get that document over to you today, and I look forward to your next scheduled meeting to finalize it all.
great. Thank you.
Thank
Okay.
you.
Yep,
Thanks,
you're
Jeff.
welcome. Bye.
Can we schedule a meeting for Friday or something like that?
This week, the 27th?
Yeah.
Do you, Bill, can you check that?
I already know. No, I'm dead that week. I've got all sorts of stuff going on. Or that day.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
Then next. set
I
the
could do
date now.
next. Yeah, I could do next Tuesday or something like that if we want to
Okay.
do that.
Tuesday, the 31st?
Yeah, I don't have anything currently on the 31st. But
You
and then
want
we, what would we be discussing, Wayne? Just this?
Just to accept the agreement.
Okay,
Yeah.
so why don't you set it?
I will get back to Lisa, and I will confirm that. I just have to look at my schedule.
All right.
Yeah, if that's the only thing on the agenda, we should be able to get it done in 10 minutes.
Right.
2 minutes.
And on the 700,000, can we just do that individually through Lisa in terms of any comments that we had so that we know what the answer is to that?
Well, it's
before-
just, I'm just gonna, you know, when I get a minute, I'm gonna grab the Zoom tape and I'll go through it. So, you know, I mean, if I said, well, it'll be whatever I said. So,
Okay. All right.
all right.
So the 31st is our next meeting to execute this one way or the other.
Yeah, and we can set a time or whatever. Yeah. All right.
All right.
Shall we move on?
So before we move on from this subject, I had Rob and Scott on, Rob, Scott and Scott Papper on the line to talk about Tupelo Road station.
Okay, so we're done with 390 though.
Yes.
Yes,
Yeah, CJC, right? Okay.
yes,
Well, some of
sorry.
this might be applicable to them actually,
Yeah.
if there are rehab.
Yeah, I'll probably
No,
sit
sorry,
around.
Dan. Sorry, Dan, we're done with 390 CJC. We're talking about a contract with them, not anything else.
All right. Thank you very much for your time today. I look forward to next week's meeting.
Thank you.
All right, bye, Jeff.
Bye.
Okay, so Rob and Scott, you guys have the floor.
Rob's on mute. There we go.
I just came off mute. Good afternoon, everyone. How you doing?
Wonderful. How are you?
Great, thanks. Seems like we haven't done a meeting forever.
I know.
The one question I had when I met with Lisa is a follow-up to Dan's request of Scott for costs associated with the Tupelo inspection. I didn't know what level of a price and proposal you were looking for. Was it just cursory estimates? Was it detailed? Was it, and I'm assuming it all plays to what the conversation we just had.
Yeah, I mean, I solicited Scott when after Scott and Wood and Curran had conducted the inspection and the evaluation of the pumping station.
Yeah.
Scott indicated that they could certainly do the work as well. So I thought that was a good mechanism for the town to proceed through. So at this point in time, we're probably looking for a detailed quote to get the work done, because we do want to have that work done and completed prior to the CJC connection.
Yeah, I'd agree.
So, yeah, I guess we're looking for a detailed quote. If there's something in there that you can't do or we need to sub out, then we need to identify it.
Yeah, no, I think we could probably do it all. I wasn't sure if you just wanted like a guess, best.
Yeah, no, we
the
want to
bullets
try
and
to
this
move
and that.
forward. Yeah.
Okay, so what I'll do is I'll talk internally and figure out who's the best fit to get it done.
Great.
Okay.
Thank you, Bob.
Thank you very much for the explanation. And I guess that was really the only question I had. The other thing we did this week, I was in town hall and I worked with Michelle. Michelle was going to put out a solicitation for the rotary drum thickener through the capital program.
Yeah.
And it's going out as equal as equal, or whatever the words are.
The manufacturer and or Eagle, that kind of thing?
Yes, exactly. So she tried sole sourcing it based on limited space and history with, and contacted the Attorney General and they said, no, it's got to be posted. So she was hoping to get it out Friday. I'm not sure if it happened or not, but I will follow up this week.
Okay.
What is the expected cost of it?
What's that? Sorry, what?
What's the budget for it? What do you want to call it?
They approved 200,000 total, and I think the cost for the unit and the panel was around 140.
Oh, okay.
And then there's, there's installation, there's some wiring, but
So,
parts were around 140.
so while we have, Rob and Scott, can we schedule, I was looking at having a regular meeting on the 7th of September, right? Would you both be available, to give us, 20 minutes or so of just an update? Because we really haven't had a kind of comprehensive update as to what's going on at the plant.
On September 10th, Bill?
7th.
7th. September 7th. That's an in-person meeting?
Well, no, or just a Zoom or whatever, however you want to do it.
It should be.
We're back to Zoom.
I am available for that.
Yeah, we can allocate 20 minutes. I don't know if it'll take that long, but just, how are things going and what's moving, what's not, that kind of thing.
Yes, absolutely. I know I have something on the 7th. I'm not sure what. Oh, 2:30 to 4:30.
Yeah, we could do it in the morning, Lisa, if you want to. Yeah.
That would be perfect if we could.
Yeah.
10 a.m.?
Yeah, that's fine.
And works.
Perfect. Appreciate that. Thank you.
All right. All right.
And I'm not sure if anyone has any questions. We'll gladly answer them if you do.
No, I don't.
We get those monthly reports from you guys, right? So I don't know if you have, if you're obviously on the same calendar year as we are, or if you give us a report that just compiles, the last quarter, the last 6 months, that kind of thing, to let us know
Oh, we do. Go ahead, Scott.
So we have the monthly report.
Yeah.
And generally January, we have a yearly report for you, an annual report for you.
Okay, so you just do the monthlies and then an annual.
Correct.
Yes.
Okay, no semi-annual or quarterly. Okay.
There's some annuals in the trailer. Did we get any to town hall, Scott?
They have not gotten to town hall. No.
Okay, so the annual report is actually sitting in the trailer.
Electronically, it has been.
Oh, okay. Perfect.
Electronically, it has been. Yes. The actual hard copies are on my desk, but I will double check when we get off this call, but I'm pretty sure that electronically they have been forwarded. Yes.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
You mind if I pick up a hard copy for the office?
I can drop it off. It was always just the COVID stuff and everything going on, and they've been sitting here, and I just really don't know the protocols of just going over to the town hall like I used to anymore. So
You can still come. You can still come in. As long as you're vaccinated, you don't need a mask. They are recommending the mask, but most of us don't.
I will drop the hard copies off to you tomorrow.
Okay, thank you.
You're very welcome.
Yeah, I'd like to get those monthly reports that Lisa had sent in the past. It does have some trailing numbers as far as daily flow rates, averages per month, that kind of thing. And it does look back 12 months at a time. So it's kind of a rolling look of where we were in the past. So just curious as to where we are with that number based on the high amount of rain we've had.
So even if I'm not current on the monthly report, Lisa always gets the DMR.
Okay.
At the 15th of every month that has all that information in there. I know it's not the monthly report, easy to follow, which I will try to do a better job. I mean, to keeping them up to date. I know I'm a little behind on them, but like I said, all that information that you are looking for is in that DMR that Lisa gets.
Okay.
15th every month.
Yeah, it pretty much details some of the maintenance that you've been doing or looking at doing, and
Correct.
eyeballing what needs to be done in the next quarter, that kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
All right, I'll check what I have and send it over to you,
Okay.
the most recent.
Yeah, because you're probably the last person that knows when new things come online. So, we just take a look at what you're doing on a regular basis and track if maintenance is increasing over time and or whatever's happening, because with the CJC project coming online, the Harbor project coming online, and then the potential of another 14 housing unit coming online in the village. And these are all happening over the next probably 24 months. That's all increased capacity to you. So it's just something to kind of.
Why don't we move on? So we've got like 15 minutes to dig into the Diab Lane group.
Okay,
All right. So Rob and Scott, thank you very much.
all right. Have a good day. Let's see, I have Matt Shannon, I have Matthew Smith and Al Feldman, who purchased 3 Diab Lane from Matt. I'm going to promote them all to panelists.
Okay.
And,
So before we do that, I think as a point of clarification, well, you can appoint them if you want. As a point of clarification, I'd like Rod, for those who don't know who's the board's attorney, to discuss with or to state what occurred in January last, and that the sort of hard date that we had after nearly, I don't know, 3.5 to 4 years of discussions and negotiations back and forth with Matt Shannon. So, Rod, can you start us off, please?
Rod, you're on mute.
Excuse me. The commission was discussing the grandfathered fees related, connection fees related to the connection of lots that, connections that had been assigned to the Diab Lane lots. And as we know, that, that grandfathering was extended and extended. And the final vote of the commission, my understanding was to the effect that the drop dead date was September 16th. And that, if a full connection was made to any of these lots by September 16th, then the grandfathered fee of approximately $6,000 or so would apply, but that if for connections made after that date, the connection would be permitted, but at the then prevailing connection fee, currently in the $35,000 range. And that was my understanding of the vote. I received a letter from Mr. Shannon's attorney indicating that that was not the case. And I responded to him that if it was not clear, I would suggest that the commission adopt a vote that confirmed the understanding that I certainly had. I've got a proposed vote text to suggest if that is what the commission asks.
Wayne and Paul, thoughts?
Wayne's on mute, but Wayne, you're on mute. Yeah.
Sorry.
So Wayne was the one person on the board who was confirmed that he wanted the full connection based on the history of the property. And we all agreed during that meeting that the property was to be connected, that these weren't floating permits forever. So that is what we all agreed to, was that they would be physically connected.
On or before the 16th of September,
On or before the
2021. Yeah, that's my recollection. And I do remember Wayne talking about the hard connection and all of that. And as Rod rightly says, this is not a preventative measure by any means. It's you can connect. It's just these permits have been hanging out for a long period of time, and quite frankly, we're not doing, we were doing Mr. Shannon a favor, but it kept going and going, and now we're in a point where it's not fair to the other applicants for a sewer permit in the town of Cohasset, frankly. So
Yeah,
we set a date.
So in effect, these we're trying to keep these sewer permits from becoming a commodity. That's why we discussed having this physically hooked up by the 16th.
Mm-hmm. Wayne, do you want to say anything?
I'd like to say that there has been circulating a letter from our office that was prepared by a part-time worker in our office that was actually incorrect, completely incorrect. And it had gone out by her as a result of someone inquiring about it about a year ago. And that's the, so I just want to make the point that letter was wrong. It shouldn't have gone out. It went out. And because it was not the opinion or the vote of the board at that time.
Right.
That's
So
all.
right. So our further clarification to anything prior to was confirmed on our last meeting on the subject matter, where we stated it had to be physically connected.
Right.
By the 16th.
Would you like me to propose a motion that could be put on the table for discussion?
Well, I don't know what, if, again, I don't want to sound that limiting here, but I do have to leave in about 8 minutes.
This is Matt Shannon. Could I speak to this whenever is appropriate?
Fire away.
Okay, so all of the discussion up until about July was that these lots were supposed to have construction begun. So all of the meetings, when this was talked about, the vote that was taken, including the letter that was asked to be prepared between Steve Ryder, my attorney, and Rod Hoffman that was recently sent to Rod Hoffman, everything states that construction was supposed to begin. It was never talked about connecting to sewer.
Well, there's no connection. You have to have a physical connection from your plant and into the building. And I remember for a fact when Matt, you and your attorney were on a call in January, I don't know the specific date, that we talked about that, and Wayne was specific that the sewer system had to be connected inside. I believe, Wayne, I don't want to put words in your mouth, but it had to go inside the foundation, I think is the non-technical phrase you used.
Right. And by the way, this is absolutely a financial matter that Matt is doing here, and absolutely Matt knew about it, and absolutely the progress was almost non-existent. At one point, he says he's not going to sell; he's going to build on him himself. The next time he sells a lot, the next time
well,
he goes
I don't
ahead
think that's really anything that
all
the
this other
board
stuff.
should be even considering what I'm going to do with the land. I think what the issue here is, just like with what's going on with 790 Main Street, you had a certain discussion where you have to go back and watch the tapes. And if you're true to your word that you're going to do with 790 Main Street, you're going to go back and watch the tapes and see what you discussed and make sure that's what you're going to stick to. I think you have to do the same thing in this case, because on 5 or so occasions, all of you have said, start construction, not connect. So I think you have to go back and watch the tapes again and see what you said. Listen to what you said. I'm sorry?
What's 790 Main Street? What is it?
You were just speaking about something to do with a $700,000 bond or whatever, but you said you were going to go back and listen to the meeting last time and be true to whatever you discussed at the meeting. And if you're going to do the same in my case, you're going to see that the discussion was start construction and not connect. Connect was never anything that was discussed until July. Every discussion we had was start construction, start construction.
Well, this could go both ways. This could go both ways, because I'm sure there's going to be some discussion in there about connection, as I absolutely remember Wayne saying, and again, I'm not going to put words in your mouth, Wayne, but a connection to the
I have all the
foundation.
clips. Do you want me to play them into the record of everybody saying start discussion, start discussion? Every single person there has said it. Wayne Sawchuk, Mr. Kearse, even Rod Hoffman, and then the letter that was prepared between Steve Ryder at the request of the board. It even says it in the letter that construction is going to be started. So how this pivoted to connect to sewer, I have no idea, but it wasn't done in public. Nobody ever told me all of a sudden we're going to be able to connect to sewer. So that's a concern too, because if it wasn't done at a public meeting, I think it violates the open meeting law. So however this transitioned from start construction to connect to sewer, we need to know when and why it happened, because that is not what was discussed back when we did these several meetings in March or February or whenever it was.
We've been going through this for years, Matt.
That's irrelevant. We had.
No, it's not. It is not. It is not.
We had an agreement that you are changing the terms. You are changing the terms of an agreement. There is a letter from Attorney Ryder to Attorney Hoffman that says we are going to begin construction and I'm going to pay another $2,100. So you took my $2,100 and you have since changed the terms of what you voted on for whatever reason. I would say the fair thing to do, if you are fair, would be to go back and listen to what was discussed. And when you hear all these start construction quotes and never anything about connect to sewer, you should act in accordance to what we discussed and agreed upon.
What is your impression, or what is your understanding of what starting construction is? Is that going up there with a pointed shovel and digging a hole a foot deep? or is it hiring a contractor, or is it actually bringing tree people in to cut the trees and pull the stumps and put in a foundation? What is your opinion of starting construction?
I think when a machine goes into the ground, that is starting construction. And I mean, I think if you
Put the
ask
ground,
a
what
bunch of different
purpose?
builders, well,
To build
well,
put a foundation?
is Kerry Johnson on here? She's a builder. Let's see what her opinion is on that.
Do you have a building permit for it?
No.
No building permit? But
No.
you're gonna start construction?
Do you want me to go down and pull a building permit? I mean, what do you, that shouldn't be anything
This is
to do with.
mind-boggling to me.
I can
This is
jump
mind-boggling.
in and speak from the builder's point of view. So I'm Carrie Johnson, K&E Construction, 25-year veteran doing this, built over 200 homes. For most towns that I work in, the definition of start of construction is activity on the lot, such as silt sock and tree clearing. That's usually the start of construction. I would have I've not been in a situation in any town where start of construction for connecting the sewer required the foundation and all utilities to be in. So this was definitely news to all of us. I have all of the paperwork that you guys have shared. And so I feel like I'm up to speed, but everything that I've seen said start of construction. So for me, when we agreed to purchase the lot, the start of construction is simple. Silt sock, trees cleared, and then I can stub the lot with the water sewer, and then you continue. I've never attached water sewer to a house before frame was complete, because we'd probably crush the pipes. That wouldn't make much sense. So that's where I'm coming from.
There was also a
Lisa,
letter.
wasn't there a letter or something that came up? I don't remember the date. Can you?
So there was a letter, let me get back there. There was a letter that was sent to Matt. It was the approval letters. It was sent to Matt. It was sent to the buyers. The buyer's realtor, I believe, dated May 5th of
and no one noticed.
2021. And it said,
No one noticed that the language was changed.
at the end, it says the deadline to connect is September 16th, 2021. It doesn't say start construction. It says the deadline to connect is September 16th, 2021.
Which is inconsistent with all of the previous discussions and what was agreed upon. So, I mean, at this point here, is it that everybody's unwilling to go back and look at what was agreed upon?
So we sent
Because
you a
it's
letter. We sent you a letter that she just recited that said connect.
That's not consistent with what was discussed before that. So what was put in the letter was totally inconsistent with what was discussed and agreed upon in the letter between my attorney and what you requested.
So
Now,
what we put in writing is what we discussed.
No, you didn't. As I said, why doesn't anybody want to go? Do you want me to play the clips of
No, we don't have.
everybody
No,
saying?
I actually no time up. I would prefer that we, if the board wants to do this move, I have a 2 o'clock call that I have to be on. What do you guys, Wayne? What do you and Paul think?
Well, the building inspector was the one that actually I heard through that said that they wanted it in the foundation, and and in fact, there's a house right now right next to where number 3, 5, and 9 are right across the street there that is literally finished. That the pipe is in the foundation, but it doesn't go to the street yet or something. So, so anyway, we can go put them on the agenda next week if we have time. But we're not going to, and I guess perhaps, first of all, maybe Rod should recite what he wants to do for clarification, and maybe we vote on that right now, and then you've got a foundation of where they go from here.
I would propose a motion as follows. With respect to the grandfathered connection fees assigned to the lots at 3, 9, and 15 Diab Lane, board hereby confirms its previous vote that the grandfathering connection fee will expire on September 16, 2021. Any of the Diabloline lots that are not fully connected to the Cohasset sewer system by that date will thereafter retain the right to make such connection to the sewer system upon payment of the then current connection fee.
I like that. So I make a motion to approve that, or to, whatever. we
So
do.
moved. Say so moved.
Say moved.
So moved.
Paul Kears, second.
Bill McGowan, third.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, so that's where we stand, folks.
So where do we go from here?
Wayne's going to review, we're going to take a look at your comments today, and we'll take a review of what the letter that was dated that Lisa had recited to you, and we'll confirm with the building inspector what was told to Mr. Sawchuk, and come up with some sort of synopsis of where we are with the properties as far as sewer connection goes.
Well, I think it's important too to take a look at. I think it's important too to take a look at the letter that was asked by the board or your attorney to be produced by my attorney. That was basically a synopsis of the discussion and what was to happen going forward. Because I paid $2,100 as a result of that letter. There was an agreement that construction would start, and then I would pay $2,100 to do with the inspection fee. So I'm really disappointed, and for the most part, I think it's unfair and unethical that you just had somebody on here that you're willing to go back and review the record to make sure you're consistent with what was discussed. And here you just took a vote without even reviewing anything, which is totally inconsistent.
Well,
also, the number of 6,000. Okay, Carrie, go ahead.
Yeah. I just wanted to say, I mean, the other thing that nobody's talked about is there was a new building inspector that had happened in this time period with, and they're entitled to their ideas and whatnot. And I have a feeling that, putting all these pieces together, perhaps that's where the change came from, because I've never had to do this with Bob Egan before.
Yeah.
So,
Well, I'd like to make just an idea to the board that we, if the board wants, we continue the discussion next week. I do have to jump off right
okay.
now. All right. So if you guys decide to do it next week, I would be in favor of that. So
Okay.
sorry,
Let's,
guys. I gotta go. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, we can certainly,
Hi, Bill.
we'll take a review and let you know about putting it on the next agenda.
Okay.
And team, we just wanted to take a moment to introduce ourselves. We're the buyers of 3 Diab. I'm Elle, that's Sebastian. And, we came into this, again, not knowing any of the background, not knowing there were several extensions. We're ready to start in less than 2 months. It's been delayed. We had a permit issue before. I mean, we've given up our wedding for this house.
Yeah.
And $40,000 is just beyond what we can afford at this point. And so we would really appreciate some extra time to talk about it. And again, we've only owned the land for a couple months. So, this is an exorbitant amount for us. And if we could agree to start by a certain date, again, we've never had an extension on this. We're first time buyers. So it would just be greatly appreciated if you could sort of consider this new buyer perspective and just kind of being thrown into this without any of the background. So we would just appreciate it. So thank you so much. We're so excited to live in Cohasset. So we hope we can do it.
There's no problem. We, like I said, it's the commission prior to my joining had been dealing with this subject matter for a long period of time, and so we're hoping to get this final resolution hopefully in the next week or so.
Yeah. So whenever we can do to work with you, I mean, we'd work with you. It just, if we can't, $40,000 is going to just break us. So we'll work with you. We just came in not understanding the 4 years or however many years it's been. We just came in thinking we bought land and we're ready to go. It's just waiting on this now. And we have a baby on the way too. So we just got a lot going on. But so thank you, and we'd really appreciate your consideration of sort of our unique circumstance as the new buyers of this, not with any context of all this
Sure.
so much. That's it for me.
Right. Thank you.
Well, one of the things I'd like to do is I'm going to prepare a document that has a list of all the times that this was discussed at the meetings and what was discussed. And I'd like that circulated to the board so we can have a very thorough understanding of what was discussed. And then if by chance you are going to take the position that the ultimate outcome of this is connect to sewer, I want to know when it was decided and how it was decided, because as I said, it sounds like it was something that was done behind closed doors. It was certainly not done at a meeting that I was at. And in fact, in the meeting, in the minutes for this, it even says Mr. Shannon agreed to have connected by September 16th. You will not find me saying that in any of the meetings. So I'm really at a loss for how the board is going about dealing with this. And especially where it's such a simple, logical, and fair request to just go back and review the record as you are doing for another person looking to connect to sewer at 390 Chief Justice. I don't see why that couldn't be done.
So submit your request to Lisa.
Yep.
And we'll take a look at it.
Yeah, and by the way,
Fair enough.
go back 3 years so you have all the correspondence.
I'm sorry, what was that?
Go back 3 years at least. Don't just start January 1.
Well, Wayne,
Or-
you know, I think you have a lot of things to say that I really don't think should be part of a sewer meeting, such as you're in one of the meetings saying, I've been looking all over town for land that doesn't perk. That's not true. This has been extended 7 or 8 times. That's not true. If everybody was held to the standard of truth here, there are so many false statements. And even the discussion about me selling these lots and implying that I'm not telling buyers the truth about them, that's been put on. I mean, this stuff is so inappropriate. The meeting with Gallagher where somebody says, I should pay the fee. Well, no, that's something that if that was the case, that should be negotiated between the buyer and the seller. These are things that should not even be discussed at a sewer board meeting. It's totally inappropriate.
So Matt,
There's
submit
more
your
truth. There's more
submit your
truth.
request. Submit the request to Lisa, and we'll take a look at it.
Yep.
And hope
Thank
to
you.
get this resolved as soon as we can.
Okay,
Okay.
All right.
sounds good.
Thank you.
Do you want to take those requests for abatements there next week?
Yeah,
I have
I,
Diane Campidelli on the line.
Yeah.
She's been waiting. I did have somebody else on the line for another abatement, but I think she had to get off. She had another meeting.
so was this, so Wayne, on the abatements, is this something that just needs a vote of the board, or is this something that needs to be discussed at length?
Well, we usually go over each of them to see what the circumstances are and if they've asked for abatements in the past and whether or not it's sort of in the right way. And usually we'll go ahead for the first time and approve it. The second time it happens, sometimes it's like, someone else's fault that they should have done something. I don't know. They're all unique, but they all have to be answered.
Since we have Diane on the line, can we just do hers and then we'll redo the other, we'll put the other ones on the next sewer agenda? Is that
Which one are you doing first? Or you have more?
732 Jerusalem Road?
Okay. Yeah, because I do have a hard stop at about 2:15 here, so.
So I'm going to promote Diane to panelist. So
Okay.
guys have any questions?
Right, so and you had sent us, we're going to do 732 Jerusalem, correct?
Yes.
Hello, everyone.
Hello.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yep.
So Diane had a water line leak. It was discovered in January. It was repaired on January 25th, and I did attach she sent in the the invoice for that repair. And
Okay,
that's included in the packet. So she's requesting 2,700 cubic feet for an abatement, which equals about $256.77. Diane has not requested an abate or been granted an abatement in the past.
Now, is she on Cohasset water or Hingham water?
Hingham water.
Okay, so, but she's looking for an abatement on the sewer part that's Cohasset.
Exactly.
Okay, sometimes I get confused about
So it's confusing. Did not get an abatement from, well, it was Aquarian at the time. They refused us, so.
Now I'm looking at the notes though on the notes on your sewer readings history. It looked like you've had a few leaks. In September of 2020, there was, it says had another leak in the line. Let's see. January 2020 had a leak in the service line. So it didn't go into the sewer system, but I didn't see an abatement on that. So just based on, there was a contractor fixed it. I apologize, guys, for this one because I thought that, let me check into this further. Let me check into this one further.
okay.
I didn't see these notes early on. I'm sorry about that. Yeah, this is the right one. So yeah, we'll have to revisit this one next time.
Okay, so there's been at least 3 issues you were saying in the past of water leaks.
Yeah, let me check into that one.
Okay.
I've not filed it for an abatement though. Right?
Right, I didn't see another abatement, but I'm wondering if it was done prior to billing. And I'll just have to check with Brenda on that one. Because if it was done prior to billing, then you wouldn't have had to go in for an abatement because it was adjusted prior to the billing going out. So let me check with Brenda and the water department, and let's look at this one next time.
Okay. Will you get in touch with me if you need me back?
I will, yes.
Okay, great. Thank you, everyone.
Okay,
Thank you.
sorry to waste your time. Thank you.
Thank you. So then we'll also then do 38 Stockbridge and 49 Rickley Road then at the same time?
Yes, and I know Rickley Road, 49 Rickley Road did get a sewer abatement last time.
Yep.
And that's all it is.
And by the way, I had one quick question on that was really confusing to me on 49 Rickley Road. And it says is that there's a statement that says the sewer bill is based on the result of deducting 700 from the usage. What does that comment mean? And up above it says irrigation 0 and then 700, and then it says cubic feet 700, 5,236 gallons, but no price for that. And then down below for sewer, it lists the sewer. What is that? What's that mean?
I'll ask Brenda.
No, but and then like I say, down below, if you look on the thing, it says the sewer bill is based on the result of deducting 700 from the usage.
Is that in the back notes?
Just that I've never seen that on a sewer bill before.
All right. What page are we looking at, Wayne?
We're looking for the Petty 49 Ripley Road, says Town of Cohasset Water Sewer Bill.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
And we'll get you right off here.
Yeah, question might be, do they have a deduct meter or?
I'll have to check with Brenda on that, what that means.
Well, it says they have deduct meter, but how does it, if the deduct meter showed 700, why did it say the sewer bill is based on the result of deducting 700 from the usage? Meaning
So if they have a
taking it
second,
off the use, so you pay for the, so the sewer bill is minus 700.
The water,
so I
water-
know he recently put in a second meter. So I'm thinking that that 700 was probably read on the second meter, and that's why it was deducted. But I'll have to confirm that with Brenda, because
Maybe it's
just
maybe
bought a second meter in.
Yeah. Dan is probably right in what he's saying. I just that I had never seen it that way. I thought I've always seen it as two numbers without any credits.
But could that be a difference because it's, oh wait, is this Cohasset water?
Yeah, and that has the irrigation meter charge $59.
they're both Cohasset water.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah. But if you look on her things, there were several different, said in 2017, want a second meter, small system, have irrigation put in, but does not, all different weirdo things, but anyway. I make a motion to adjourn.
I second that motion.
All those in favor say aye.
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 A meeting's adjourned. Thank you, everybody.